welcome back to the Intersect Podcast, everyone. We have a very, very special guest, big guest from Perth. A fellow podcaster, actually.
Mr. Egan. Egan, right?
Yeah.
I always get scared every time I say it. I'm like...
Yeah, I had someone actually say that the other day who came on as a guest, said, how do I pronounce your name? I thought it would be pretty simple to pronounce.
Egan's pretty...
Yeah.
Did he try?
No, it was a girl, but no, they didn't. They played it safe. They were scared to get it wrong. But there's nothing more awkward when I've had that many times where I've had to introduce a guest.
Yeah.
And I don't know how to say their name. I always check now. Like, I'm always like, how do I say your name again? Or your last name? Like, I've had some really interesting names, to be honest.
Yeah, the old pronunciation of a name is a big one. Hey, I'm still tired. Shut up, mate. I want to start off with. I want to dive into your podcast, how you started it, and what's the main drive for you to keep going.
Yeah. Well, I started my...
sorry. For starters, do you want to say what it is?
The name.
Oh, yeah.
Everything.
Timeless Mindset is my podcast. And, I mean, it's evolved so much over the years. Like, it started out, was a focus on trying to interview athletes. That's why I started it. But it's just naturally evolved. I started at the end of 2022, start of 2023. And basically, the motive for the podcast was to learn from other people. I'm sure you know, like, it's very hard to figure things out yourself, and the main drive was to learn from other people, obviously with a selfish intent to benefit my own life, but it ended up being this powerful thing where I was able to hear people's stories, and, you know, it created a lot of change for myself, because I thought throughout my upbringing, all the things that I was navigating internally, like my inner landscape, I thought it was just me that went through those things, and it naturally dissolved a lot of my own shame, because I was hearing that, you know, people were going through things themselves, and I was also learning a lot of tools to implement in my own life. And, you know, I stumbled across a psychology degree, and that coincided with the podcast growing and evolving, and started to transition into mindset, and then just continually scale up the guests and have some really epic conversations, and continues today as I, you know, continue my career in the space of mindset and personal transformation. But it's been a huge journey. It feels like I've had it my whole life, but it's only been 2 and a bit years, and it's weird.
I do get that feeling. I mean, we've had ours, 6 months, 7 months?
Yeah.
Something like that. And it feels like we've had so many people on, and it's been so long since we started. When Brenton's episode, I always think it was Adam there, not you.
Yeah,
I have no idea, but it feels so feels so long ago that I think it was before your time and it was Adam.
No.
But
because I was November.
Yeah.
Movember, yeah.
Movember. So yeah, I definitely get that feeling. What would be one of the biggest things that you've learnt starting a podcast and like this whole content creation type area?
Oh, there's a million lessons.
There's so many, hey.
I mean, most people probably answer this with, you know, everyone has a story. That was like one of my biggest lessons I've learned. But there's so many lessons about human psychology and just the journey of putting yourself out there on social media. I think the overall, like, if I can distill about 1,000 lessons into something practical, it's life's not easy. Life can be challenging, but you can create any experience of life you want. And that is essentially what I'm trying to do, is I'm trying to create an awareness that life can be difficult. There's many obstacles, but the obstacle is the way, and there's every opportunity to transcend what you're going through and create whatever experience of life you want. That is probably what I've learned.
Yeah. Were you scared, like, starting out and like putting yourself out there on the internet? Yes
and no. It's funny because if I think back to what I know now after 3 years of delving into this, I probably would be more scared if I knew how much I didn't know. There was probably an element of naivety when I started talking about mindset podcast. I thought I knew more than I did, and that's probably the Dunning-Kruger effect, but it was crazy. I think I was scared, but do you know when you have that feeling like this calling, you know you have to do something, and it's like, you know you have to take the jump, you're scared. I knew that on the other side of that journey would be something powerful. But yeah, there was naturally fear of what people would think. I remember early days going to footy training, for example, and there's that sort of group dynamic that happens at football clubs, that culture. And I was scared. It was sort of a mental health podcast sort of early days. And I was scared of what people think. I remember just my thoughts. I remember being anxious all day. What do people think of this thing? And being so obsessed, because a lot of my journey was needing the approval of other people. And naturally I was just created. Yeah, it was difficult, but I mean, there's only one way through.
Yeah. Just punch through it.
It was punching through it, but also that was sort of the process early days. It was just to strong arm my way through it. Like keep getting guests, keep doing it. And then as I've uncovered a lot of my journey, like, you know, new things come up, and everything I've grown as an individual has probably been as a byproduct of the guests I've interviewed. So they've introduced me to like a certain type of coaching or some sort of truth, and I've sort of continued to delve into that. So the podcast has been the vessel for my growth, and it keeps evolving in different ways, but that's why the podcast has been the perfect excuse to grow as a human. It's like, you start a podcast, it basically is a business, and it's becomes, anytime you start your own business, it's a self-development journey. So I'm sure you guys would relate to that, right? Like it's a journey of itself.
I would have to say that my mindset has shifted a lot from before I started. Like interviewing all these people, hearing their experiences, how they dealt with all the things that they struggled with, allows you to implement the things that helped them into your life, and you completely change, your mindset completely changes, and you do develop as a human being to become bigger and better than your past self.
It's also a dangerous game, because the trap I fell into on my podcasting journey was believing that I had learnt the lesson because I heard it from someone else.
Yeah.
You need the experience to complement the lesson or the information. And I think that's where I got it wrong. I thought I was further ahead with whatever that means. I thought I had understood myself and had gone on this inner journey more than I had, because I was listening to people who had taken the steps or had done all this inner work to figure out who they are. And it sort of became almost an avoidance strategy. I was like, if I just learn from everyone else, I'll do it, because it was just a way for me to avoid doing the things I actually needed to do in my own life. So that's the only one caveat to this, is like it's a roadmap, and it can give you the path, but you have to take the steps and be courageous to explore yourself as well during that.
Well, you could go through the same type of experience that they're talking about and have a completely different experience. So, yeah, that would be a difficult thing to definitely go through. Yeah. Who was talking about that? Someone was talking about that the other day.
Jody?
No, I think it was James.
James Bond.
Yeah, James Bond.
What did he say?
He said it's like you could read a million books, but in like you can have all the theory in the world, but in like reality, it's not the same. Like, doesn't matter how much you study it if you haven't been there and done that and been through it.
Like your personal experiences, even if it's the same type of situation, will be completely different to everyone else's.
Totally. And I do feel like one of the negative things sometimes in this space of sharing stories is it can fall into the trap of like a competition, and it loses sight of what the purpose actually is. Like, there's a shared collective purpose of life isn't easy. Let's try and learn things off each other. Let's navigate it together. And then subconsciously it becomes this competition for who's had a harder story, who's struggling more. And that is what I see a lot in the space of mental health at times, which I also think disincentivizes the average person to talk about a little micro struggle. And then it just, because there's like this expectation that if you're struggling with something, it has to be this huge thing. And I feel like mental health, the unexpected side effect of talking about mental health is it's made talking about the little things harder. And people feel like they can't share something unless it's huge, or they fall into this trap that it has to be something bigger than, maybe I'm just unsure about this little thing in my life and I want to have a conversation about it, and I don't need to wrap it up in this bow of I'm struggling with my mental health. Yes, people are going through shit, and there's a time and place for people who are going through the depths of that hell, but I feel like most of the time things can be sorted out initially, like when it first starts happening. But this mental health movement has had a lot of negative side effects.
Perfect example is one of our earlier guests. She, like, one of her biggest things that she was struggling with was a breakup, right? and she heard all the previous other ones, and she was like, oh, my story isn't really, like, it's not that important. Like, it's just a breakup. And I'm like, it doesn't matter what your story is. You have struggled through something. Everyone struggles through breakups. Everyone can relate to your story. Just because you didn't try and commit, not like, you know, I'm not saying that's a fucking shit thing, but like, just because you didn't try and do something big, or you don't have this massive, big mental health struggle, doesn't mean your story isn't valid. And she was like, oh, that's kind of fair. And I think that's what everyone needs to get out of it. Is it doesn't matter. It could be something super small as Sev snapped his ankle.
He did his ACL and
in
broke his
footy.
ankle.
I mean, and that fucked him up because he was so passionate about AFL. I mean, to everyone else with the whole big like mental health story, that's something that's not that important because it's not huge, right? But to Sev, that probably would have fucked him up for a few weeks or a few months, and he would have had to figure out a way how to get out of it or help him deal with the anxiety or depression that he was going through. So it doesn't matter how small your story is, you should be able to open it up to anyone.
And there's usually a deeper seated belief of I don't matter that exists in their programming that makes them feel like this story isn't sufficient of talking about. I definitely had that for a long time where it's like, I had good parenting. I got everything given to me. I can't struggle. Common. And it sucks. But the more we push mental health awareness, I think it's good. But I also think we need to be careful not to... It's actually just an individual thing. I think a lot of people are using it as an excuse not to take responsibility because they can identify with their story and use that as the label or the reason that they react in a certain way, the reason that they don't have their life in a certain way. It's all just comes down to the questions like, what do you want to experience from life? And if you want to keep creating these patterns, then who am I to judge that?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I've changed my perspective a lot. I used to be a lot more directive and assertive, and, you know, I'm starting to realize you do you.
Yeah.
Most people live to the best of their ability given what strategies they have. They're trying to meet needs and they only have certain strategies. So I fell into a lot of coping mechanisms early on in my journey. Porn. I've lost $30,000 when I gambled. All of these addictions, because I was addicted to these subconscious programs I wasn't aware of. I did things to the best of my ability at the time. And shame often develops because we're like, oh, why would I do that? I'm worthless. And there's a lot of these beliefs that get drawn about who you are. So most people do things to the level of their awareness. So a lot of what I do as a coach is helping people become aware of how they're trying to get their needs met through a coping mechanism. And a lot of the time that dissolves a lot of shame. It's a very powerful realization. You're not broken, you're not flawed, you're just trying to reach a need. And obviously it's not healthy, but most people don't realize that they're just trying to get their needs met. They feel like there's something wrong with them. And that is a core belief that negatively impacts a lot of people.
Yeah, absolutely.
God damn, these are some wise words.
Yeah.
It always amazes me when we get people on and they're
I just
so much more knowledgeable.
love hearing
about
other
everything.
people's viewpoints and like the way that they... So you said that you got like brought up, you had parents that you got like given everything, but you still suffered from some things. What are some of the personal struggles that you've been through?
I mean, I feel like we've all struggled, like to some, you know, varying extents. And for me personally, I think a lot of it was, I had a lot of, how do I call it? I was always hyper vigilant to what people thought of me. Like this constant, like,
You needed validation from other people?
yes, but it was indirect. It wasn't like a conscious thought, like I need you to approve of me, but my behaviors were definitely signaling that I was so preoccupied. I didn't want to be, so I resisted that. Like I was very like, I created shame around that because I was like, I don't want to need approval of other people because I wanted to be independent. But I just fell into these like behaviors where it's like I needed people to approve of me. I was so always surveilling, had this hyper awareness of people, like what they thought, especially growing up in sport. My identity was heavily tied to performance in academic and school. So like I thought, you know, I'm going to be a worthy individual if I can be in the best footy teams, get good grades. and that had a lot of negative side effects. Like, I didn't love who I was unconditionally. It was conditional. Like, I had to achieve something in the external world to feel worthwhile inside. I split my worth. I wasn't a complete individual. And I had to cope with that fear of not loving myself, and that fell into coping mechanisms. Approval from women, distracting myself with things like porn, falling into this emotional addiction through gambling. And I got given everything. Like, technically, like given love, support, finances. But yes, I'm sure there were things that didn't happen. Like, there's little micro traumas that we go through. And I think that's where my logical mind tries to convince me I didn't go through anything. But I was very emotional as a kid. I was always angry. I didn't understand it, didn't know why. And I feel like, yeah, we need to give ourselves the opportunity to we need to love ourselves enough to realize that we are worthy of doing the work on. I think a lot of people don't believe that. And that's why it's almost paradoxical, because you need to love yourself enough in order to realize that you deserve to do the inner work. But that's what's stopping people from doing it.
Yep. How did you know that you had an addiction to porn or the gambling? Did you have to pull yourself up on it, or were you just like beating it every 2 minutes and then just like, shit, maybe this is actually a fucking problem?
I can't remember how I could be so unconscious. Like, I think there are stages of awareness, and I think I was just so unconscious to why I was doing it. And when you don't know why you're doing something, it can be hard to question the pattern. So I had to become conscious and aware of like why I was even doing these things in the first place. And I don't think there's anything wrong about the behavior itself. I think you just need to understand why you're doing it, and then you can start to question, do I really want to continue this pattern? Like, is there other ways to transcend this limiting belief, for example, that I have in my life? And yeah, I just think a series of studies doing psychology and just journaling, just create awareness. And that's what I do as a coach now, is you're basically a mirror, and you're trying to help shine light onto things in people that they can't see. That's essentially the role of a coach. I didn't have that. I had to figure these things out for myself, and that took a long, long time, a lot of pain, keep falling into these patterns. And that's why coaches are invaluable, because they can help you transform like that. Because we're so emotionally evolved in our life, our ego will protect us. We'll justify anything we do to reduce the tension that we feel. This is just this term called cognitive dissonance. And so whatever behaviors we have, we need alignment internally. It's our way for our brain to seek predictability. So we'll justify poor behaviors. So that's what I did. I told myself it doesn't really matter. Even though you would feel the tension inside, you're like, you almost have this gut feeling, this isn't right. It's 7:30 in the morning. Why are you putting up your internet browser?
Oh shit, 7:30.
What? Like, I was heavily addicted.
Yeah.
But when you don't understand, when you don't have an alternative, you seek what's predictable and familiar. And that's why coaches maybe this is a marketing strategy, but coaches, because they also show why you're doing it, but they give you an alternative. If you don't have an alternative, if you just say stop eating like chocolate, let's say you're addicted to eating nighttime snacks. It's like, clearly there is a reason you're doing that. But if I don't give you an understanding of what's driving you, or an alternative or something else, you're unlikely to stop it.
The craving's going to be probably a lot more.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to stop it or remove it.
What's the alternative to beating your meat?
I just think it's often driven by a deep-seated fear, a mental program at a deep level. Like, and there are so many different subconscious beliefs. You have to work through someone individually, but it's something that is driving the behavior to meet an emotional need that they didn't get. And often it's confirming this addiction that they have to not being worthy. It honestly depends on the individual. For me, a lot of it was avoidance, but also just I wanted to feel warmth and love.
Yep.
I wanted to give myself something. And that's what porn a lot of the time is, masturbation. You're giving yourself love in a very weird, indirect way.
Yep. Yeah. It's a very big stress reliever for blokes. I mean, I don't know about women, but for blokes it definitely is.
Yeah.
What would be some of the symptoms, I guess you would call it, to... like for someone out there that can't really
identify their
that they've got a problem.
I asked this question to someone else the other day, a couple of days ago, like, what other warning signals.
Do you have calluses on your fucking hands or your dick?
Are we talking about specifically masturbation?
Oh no, just like things in general.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, so many things. The lady said to me, suffering was a prime example. Like, just there are many warning signals. Like, not only your body, like a lot of things that are suppressed by the mind. Like, there's quotes about, you know, what the mind suppresses, the body expresses. So there's a lot of physical disease as a byproduct of a mental ailment. But just the mental turmoil that you feel, the emotional struggles, you keep falling into patterns of self-sabotage. Like, I keep doing things that I know I don't want to do that aren't good for me. Why do I do it?
Yep.
There is a subconscious benefit. So if you know, like, I don't want to do that anymore, but you keep doing it, well, then there's the opportunity. You've you've become conscious of a pattern. So the aim of the game is to become conscious enough to break the pattern. But a lot of it, that's why you see people's stories, they've gone through enough darkness to realize that they don't ever want to go back to that place, and that's the drive that motivates them to want to change their life. But most people probably sit in that middle ground, the region beta paradox, where everyone's sort of comfortable getting through life. You know, they don't hate their job, don't love it, but boss is okay, relationship's okay, it's not great, but it's okay.
Yeah.
And
kind of just floating through,
cruising through life. And some people are okay with it. And like I said, who am I to say that's wrong? I just know that I want to experience a fucking great life. I want freedom at all levels. And a lot of people want that. They're just too afraid to admit it. And do I have all of the answers, or have I unlocked it? No. But fuck, I'm willing to give it a crack.
Yeah, and it's also enjoying the journey along the way too, because you get so caught up in the things that you're doing that you forget to enjoy. That's one thing that I've actually been doing a lot. Like when we first started this, it was why aren't my numbers going up? What the fuck's going on? Why don't I have followers? Blah, blah, blah. And then I picked up on the pattern, and it was stressing me out, because I was like, I have so much passion for this. Why the fuck aren't people, you know? And then it got to a point where I was like, just fucking don't worry about it. Upload the episode. Like, do the things you love, which is like editing, all the video, the recording, all the back end stuff, because it's fun. And then once you've done it, upload the cunt. Just fucking leave it. Like, don't look at it, don't touch it. And like, genuinely, it has helped me so much to be able to sit in the moment and enjoy the things that I'm doing and experiencing, and then not worrying about all that other shit in the back.
We often give ourselves these unwritten contracts, like subconsciously. We won't even be aware of it. Like, I fell into this trap with podcasting. If this podcast grows to this amount, then I'll have followers, then I'll have more of an income stream, then I'll have a business, then I'll have freedom, then I'll have what I truly want. And then it creates resentment towards the podcast because it hasn't yet created what subconsciously I'm after. But when you strip away and you actually do the inner work, and you realize that you don't actually need any of it, and it's an avoidance strategy, then you can actually enjoy it for what it is, because it brings so much. Yet, as humans, we're so focused on what we don't have, like the negation, our needs. That's what our mind fixates on. There's a block, there's a subconscious block, and the aim of anything in my coaching is to help remove those blocks so that you can appreciate the default state of abundance that is a great conversation, is learning, is growing, is life. But if you're not willing to remove the blocks, that's the scary bit. But if you're not willing to, it's going to be pretty hard to fixate on the positives and force yourself, be grateful and write a list of things you're grateful for. It doesn't work for me. It does not work. I tried it. Why would you spend your whole time trying to strong arm yourself into a to-do list, a bunch of behaviors, remove the subconscious program? Your default state will be to enjoy life more. Because that's what we actually, at a deeper level, there is so much, and naturally our state is wholeness and love, but we have been split internally as a result of our experiences. And the journey is to realize that we don't need anything to feel anything inside. We don't need to have a successful podcast to be happy. We don't. It can be an extension of our love, and we can create it for areas of our life that we value. We want financial freedom. We want to connect with people. It's part of our mission, but we don't need it. And when you come from a place of lack, like I need it, and a scarcity mindset, it shows up subconsciously. You project that out. You don't enjoy the experience. And why are you even doing it? We're going to die one day. Do we really want to spend our whole life trying to force ourselves into external circumstances that we think are going to make us happy. Every single person who has a lot of money, most of them are saying it doesn't make you happy.
Yeah.
Solves a lot of problems, but that doesn't make you happy.
Adam doesn't want to cry in his Lambo anymore.
If Adam was here, he'd probably disagree.
Yeah, he was talking about buying houses and stuff, and obviously in Perth, that's really expensive right now, when it's $700,000 for a crack house and this, that, and yeah, he wasn't happy with it.
It could solve a lot of problems. I'm not here to say it doesn't solve problems, but you cannot run away from yourself. Good luck. You can't. It's time and time again.
You're still the one walking into that bedroom when the lights are off with your own thoughts.
Yeah. And if you've negated your whole existence and all your experiences, you've invalidated, you have all these subconscious programs that, you're just denying, like, I'll just get money to make yourself feel a certain way. Good luck. I would say if you can do that and you can feel happy and enjoy life and love it, pretty good. But I'm too conscious and too aware, and most people can't run away from themselves. Eventually the pattern will fall out, whether it's 10, 20, 30, 40 years. Imagine this is what I get scared about. Imagine I'm 60, I'm sitting down, I've chased my whole life running away from my problems, I have the money, and you just look in the mirror and you're like, this never meant anything. Mm-hmm. Like, we spend our whole life, most of our lives, like, think about career, podcast, we spend so much time doing something, but hardly any time thinking about why we're doing it. Invest a bit of time into the purpose of your actions, because that takes up most of your day. If you just direct your energy into something that is actually truly authentic and meaningful, it will give you an incredible amount more in the long run. It'll be fulfilling because it is designed for you. But most people live out of fear. I know I did. I know there are parts of me that still do. But that's the journey to wholeness, is to dismantle these internal structures that make us live through fear. Like, fuck, who wants to do that? I don't.
You Perth boys are fucking good, hey? I'll tell you.
Yeah, fuck me.
That. Damn, this is, it's so true, man. It's genuinely really, really good to hear. I'm shocked.
I'm lost.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah.
I'm still sitting here thinking
Pivotal.
about pivotal shit.
Shit.
Fuck.
Let's go.
Fuck.
Nah, it's a lot of people need to hear this stuff, man, because it's like, it's things that they don't get to listen to, I guess, or they don't know about.
And it's hard. And this is why I love coaching and I'm trying to build my thing, is because I want to help guide people through that inner journey. It's taken me 5 years, and I'm naturally a quick learner, and I've read so many books, done a psychology degree, invested so much time, and as you keep going, you learn more. But like, it's taken me this much to know this much, and I'm like, fuck, the average person just navigating through life does not have the tools, and I want to give that to people, exchange that, for my time to give them that, because it will transform your experience of life, because I just want to help get people out of their own way. That's pretty much what it is.
Essentially give people the fun, joyful life that they know that they can do, just scared to do it.
And doing it, but also there's a subconscious drive that prevents them from feeling it. Like, a lot of people have a lot, but they don't feel a lot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're very numb and switched off and out of tune with themselves. And I was that for a long time. And I think the journey is to realize that there's nothing wrong with you and nothing's missing. Everything you have in your life is a byproduct of something. There's no coincidences. Everything's designed for a reason. And I'm motivated to help give people the experience of life they want if they're willing to do the work.
So, being a knowledgeable, sexy human being that lives in Perth, how does the gym and movement help you? I know it's a little bit of an off track, but you followed us on your personal. Bro, I didn't realize you were fucking ripped. Big dude. How does going to the gym and cold plunges, cold baths, ice baths, how does that help you mentally, and how does that help you stay focused?
Well, the thing I love about exercise is it changes your biochemistry. Like, if we look at it, why we feel good after exercise, it changes our biochemistry. Now, what I've learned a lot is you can change your biochemistry with thought alone. So you can meditate and you can access the same feeling of exercise through meditation. It's incredibly difficult to do. And most people are so dopamine addicted that it's an incredible hard thing to do. But the reason I love exercise, it's a guaranteed return. You're going to get the feeling to, but the only negative cost is people become addicted to like exercise is my way to feel good. And it is an avoidance strategy to actually doing the work to remove these subconscious blocks. There's room for both because exercise keeps you fit, healthy, all the science of muscular health, longevity, eating well, all that's incredible. Makes you feel better, clear-headed, you're going to live longer, you're going to feel better. It's fueling your body. But there's also like the mind. The mind is the software and the body is the hardware. And I think we need I'm more focused on the mind. That's my specialty, but I love exercise. It makes me feel good. I've always played sport. I love it. And I'll encourage it, but I also help people realize that it's a dangerous game to tie your happiness to exercise. A lot of people do that in the self-improvement game, but it's a very dangerous game because I know I've seen a lot of this where people need to run and need to gym to feel good about themselves. And do you really want to tie your happiness to having to do something? Yes, do it because you love it. I used to think the reason people can't let go of that is because they're scared that if they let go, basically their brain is telling them if they let go of this fear they have, this grip onto exercise, they'll stop doing the exercise, which gives them the feeling they want because it's predictable. But you have to be able to surrender. When you surrender, it creates the space for so much in your life. I still exercise. I still train just as much. I eat just as healthy from a place of love, not fear. I used to do a lot of self-improvement from fear. Ice baths, discipline, accountability. I had to, it's 9:30 at night and it's like, fuck, I have this craving for something, but I have to reframe every thought. No, you're strong. Keep going. You don't need this. That's going to tire you out. Yeah. Wouldn't you just rather not have the thought in the first place, not have the craving, not have the emotional addiction? That's what I'm trying to give to people because it's so tiring going through life having to think your way through every single little thing. And that's what we spend our whole lives doing, trying to run away from. And yes, the reason I love exercise and the reason I advocate for it is just because of the benefits to you.
The pure benefits.
But a lot of people are twisted in this like mental addiction to exercise. They don't even realize it because it gives the illusion of control, doesn't it? Like it's like I get to do something to feel something. It's guaranteed return. A lot of what I do is surrendering to the fact that you don't have as much control, and that's okay.
Yep.
So the brain is always trying to survive and feel like it's in control, and that's what exercise does. But yeah, it's just thoughts to think about.
So how can one get that dopamine hit without exercise? Because you said meditation or something along those lines, yeah?
Yeah. Well, the dopamine's just the anticipation of a future reward. So there are many ways to access that, but then you have to question, like, why do you need dopamine in the first place? Like a lot of us think of like when I was watching porn, for example, or that sort of thing, or eating food, chocolate late at night. Like these things give you a release of dopamine, and it's usually self-soothing. It's a comfort to something. It's emotional. An emotional need hasn't been met. It creates this belief in the subconscious, which is unique to every person, and then it generates this feeling, which pushes a thought, and that thought becomes the stimulus to fill the lack, the void, the emotional need, and then it drives you to take the action. But like, I don't even want to spend my time doing that. I just want to help people remove that thing that's blocking them, so they don't have to they don't have to wrestle with their thoughts. We already have 80,000 thoughts a day. Do you want to really spend that running away from yourself? That's what most of us do. And I want to give people the freedom because it feels lighter. Life feels lighter when you can release this pressure inside that you've manufactured yourself. And I've shifted away from the question. The natural dopamine hits are way better. Social connect. You get insane amount of serotonin and oxytocin from real human connection. Connecting with people, connecting with yourself. That can be meditation. Taking action on your goals and your mission. Living life in accordance with your highest values. Do people even know what they value? Most people don't. But when you actually sit with yourself, you do work with a coach, you figure out what you value in life, you take action of that, it feels fulfilling because it's authentic to you. Most people are living out of fear, which is directing them away from what is actually designed for them, and they don't feel good. They feel trapped. That's why a lot of people struggle with mental health, because they're not actually living the life that is for them.
Yep. Yeah.
All right. You talked about those dopamine things. Do you see a lot of like people getting stuck, especially with Instagram nowadays, with that constant dopamine rush and that doom scrolling? Do you see a lot of that being a coach and stuff?
100%, but I'm just as guilty. Like, I'm not here as the guru. I'm fallible. I test all of these things on myself, and I try and remove myself from these invisible prisons that my mind has created for itself. And it's just an easy access to. So let's say at a deep subconscious level, I have this lack, this belief of I don't matter, I'm not worthy, some limiting belief. Now, dopamine's just a quick way to fill that void. And quick access, it's in high supply. You don't have to do anything for it. It just feeds this cycle of addiction. So yeah, we all fall prey to it. I do at times, but you've got to become conscious enough to recognize the pattern and then continue to do the inner work so you don't fall prey to that. Because recently I've made some internal shifts and I find myself living a lot more to what I want to do in life, like living more to my highest values. And I find myself naturally not wanting to be on Instagram as much. Not like, I used to get all these apps like, oh, let's get Opal, let's get these app blockers. Well, I don't want to micromanage my life. We live 95% of our day subconsciously. So that means 95% of everything you do every day, you're not even thinking about. So do you want to work, just simple mathematics, do you want to work with the numbers game? You just work with that 95%, you master that. As a default, you probably won't go on Instagram because you've met your needs you're starting to meet your needs at a deeper level. And the need to go on Instagram won't be there. You don't need to self-soothe. You don't need to get this thing from Instagram anymore as much, and you become aware of it. So I keep harping on about the subconscious mind, but that's how we operate.
That's your passion. That's what you want to learn, what you study.
You can tell that you have a lot of passion about it, and you've done a lot of research or studies and all that type of stuff. And it's like I say to all, like everyone, it's good to hear a different mindset or like experience or version from someone else, because they're also different, but they're all somewhat connected.
And
you go.
Do you find yourself getting that? Steph always brings this up. Imposter syndrome. Like you feel like you're not, like you've learnt so much, but you still have so much to learn, and you're helping others. Do you always like get that imposter syndrome where you feel like, who am I to be doing this?
Used to, but that's just seated in another prison, another subconscious fear. And I've sort of worked through that.
Yeah.
Because I created a lot of pride, and there's still parts of me that do. Like, as you learn these things, you create like this sense of pride or entitlement. But that's just a runaway from another prison that you've created. Yeah. So it's sort of just surrendering to the fact that we're all human. We all have access to this knowledge. Like, I'm not creating this knowledge. I'm just discovering it. Yeah. Anyone can do it. Yeah. I'm not entitled to it. I'm just a human. I have a conscious mind. I'm living in this vessel, this body, but I'm not more worthy than you just because of X, Y, Z. Like, what makes someone more worthy anyway? We're all equal in the sense of worthiness. I think we've convinced ourselves that achieving something, having status, having followers makes you worthy. I don't believe in that. So by me doing what I do, that doesn't make me more worthy. Does it give me more access to truth? Probably, because a lot of people live a lie. They don't actually know why they're doing something. They've created this story and narrative which isn't based in actual fact or truth. Just because I have more access to truth, once again, doesn't make me more worthy. But yeah. Does that answer the question?
Yes, you answered it very well, like you've done for all the past questions. It's good.
How do you deal with burnout? Do you have burnout? Do you get burnout?
Yes and no. Like, depends who you ask this question. Like, I hear so many different people answer this question. Like, yeah, I get fucking tired. Like, life's not easy, but I often find a lot of burnout that people experience is often psychological burnout. Like, there's burnout because you're not eating or you're not sleeping or you're probably not exercising, and that is a physiological component. The most common burnout people face now is psychological, because they don't live life in accordance to their highest values. So that they just don't feel fulfilled, and it's tiring because it's like I'm putting all this energy into the world. I'm getting nothing back that is meaningful to me. So I feel burnt out because it's just it's stressful. It's creating this cycle of like I put in this much and I get nothing back because it's not even meant for you. It's not authentic to you. So it creates this like conflict inside of like I don't have what I want. I'm not getting the love back that I'm putting into the world because it's from fear. So a lot of people's burnout is psychological, but you get the foundations right, like you exercise, you sleep well, you're going to do pretty well. Most people can't even get that right, the basics right, like just eating well, whole foods, 90, 80, 20, whatever, do that. You sleep your 8 hours, you do a bit of exercise every week, you will feel way better. Yes, that's not going to solve all your problems. You're going to probably have all these subconscious things you need to work through. But most people can't even nail that, and they're trying to master their like morning routine and like put their face in a bucket of ice. And it's like, bro, you're sleeping 5 hours.
Yeah.
Or you're eating. Look at what your diet. Like,
It's not a stepping stone to success.
Yeah, and I don't nail everything, and I don't put the pressure on myself like I used to. But like, everyone's trying to master in the minors now. Everything in life, like everyone's trying. Like I do this, so I'm just as guilty. But like, Instagram bios, you fixate on like the tiniest things. It's like, just get the majors right, get the foundations right.
Yep.
Most things will take care of itself.
Yep.
Fucking wise words. I'm still sitting in this lost. Like I'm hearing the words and I'm just kind of like brain's still ticking along, just being like, yep, no, that checks out. That checks out. That one, no.
Yeah,
He's not wrong.
People do fixate on a very small, minute detail, and I'm also one that is fucking horrible for it.
We all are.
But I mean, yeah, you just need to be conscious of it and change.
Well, there is a benefit to it as well that we often miss. So like, this is the negative of when people say they want to change their life, or when they want to run towards something, they're often running away from something. So for example, like I love the fact that I'm obsessed with micro details. Like I'm not going to shame myself for being obsessed with that. But sometimes when you're obsessed with that, you're like running away, like there's perfectionism and there's this obsession with needing to get it right because you're fearful of not being approved by other people because you can't validate yourself and you don't fully love yourself at a deeper level. There's so many hidden things that we can't see. And it's just, you got to be, I'm very careful now with myself with prescribing myself any sort of internal philosophies of like, this is the way. Because of cognitive dissonance, you will convince yourself that it is right. And it's probably not. There's probably things you can't see. There's pros and cons of everything. Life's so black and white. Most of life is grey. So we just need to be able to interrogate our beliefs a bit more, question them. Like, why do I think this way? Why do I automatically react this way in this circumstance? We just agree that the way we think or react and the way we feel is just baked in truth. It's not. It's just a narrative from the mind to confirm something that's predictable, to meet a need at a deeper level. And I like to question things now. And I don't spend my whole day like wrestling with my thoughts. But if I have like a emotional reactivity, I get triggered, or I have this really random thought or something like that, you know, I'm happy to create a space to analyze it. You know, I still work with other coaches because I'm trying to grow, but most people just accept the way they think and feel. And that's one of the side effects of the mental health movement is we have to validate and accept every feeling as the truth. It's not true. Yeah. Everything that you feel, like an emotion is just information from the external environment, and all these feelings are biased by deep-seated beliefs. And I think in the mental health movement, we've created this like space where if you feel something, everyone has to validate it. But most of the time when they're saying these things, they aren't actually truth in their life. Now, I want to be that good friend that can actually show them the light. Yes, depending on the situation, people just need a bit of love and they need that support, pat in the back. But some people are going to continue playing out these patterns for the rest of their life. And I want to guide people through to real change, because I know for me, most of my journey was just fucking sick of my own bullshit, just doing the same shit. Like, oh, I feel this way. Like, oh, poor me, victim mentality. It's like, no, I want to transcend that. I want to outgrow that, because I don't want to I want to have agency in my life. I want to have freedom. I don't want to be stuck in this invisible prison. And there's a time and place for shoulder to cry and let's just get through the day.
Yep. What would you have any advice for someone to like realize that they are in those like prisons of the mind, and like help them realize that they do need to make change? Do you have like advice that you would give to someone?
I mean, we all are sort of in some prison, but it's just, if you want to actually create a change in your life, you want to experience something different in your life, that is like the warning that's like the signal, I would say. So like, if you have this quest for more, or you're suffering and you're in these patterns, whether it's a relationship, something with your finances, your mental health, whatever it is you're struggling with, you're suffering, and you're like, I don't want it to experience this anymore, then that's the perfect signal. You have to create a change. You're going to keep recreating patterns. You have to have a buffer, a stimulus breaker. And that's what I guess a lot of coaches offer. And that's what I create for my clients, is that thing. You're bringing awareness. Einstein had this quote. It's like, you can't solve a problem at the same level of awareness that created it. So a coach is bringing heightened awareness to someone's problem so that they can transcend it. It's like, you can't just think your way out of a problem, the same level of thinking that created it. And that's where a coach brings awareness and light and a mirror to people. And I think we all, to some extent, want to grow. I think as humans, we're naturally like, it's like this internal drive to want to transform in some way, for love to expand. That's like, we all have this desire for wholeness. So it's just depending on where you're at and how you're feeling and whether you want to make the moves. There's so many resources, so many things to do it. But I think there's also the other part where it's easy to stay stuck in the prison because it's predictable for the mind, and we're trying to optimize for survival. And the prison, although it's mental prison, you'll suffer, you'll hate your circumstances, you still get to survive and live. And that's there's a biological drive for that.
Yeah.
So you have to use your mind to become conscious. No, I want to experience something different. It's going to be scary. There's going to be things I don't know about myself. I'm willing to make the jump because we only have one life. I want to make this count.
Yep. Checks out. Yeah, that's like I don't know who it was. I seen it on Instagram one day. Old mate talking about if it's like 1 kilometre away, you'll walk there, and if it's 2 kilometres, you'll drive there, and you will end up going faster 2 kilometres than you would 1 kilometre, which is like if you're in a shit situation, but it's manageable and you can keep going, you won't change anything. Whereas if it was twice as shit, then you would change something, and that's how you would like go to that next level, which is very common nowadays. Everyone's kind of like, all right, this is not the greatest, but I'm living, I'm surviving, and then that's where they just stay stuck and they don't move on from there.
Yeah, surviving, but
not living.
Yeah, not thriving. Like, I want to thrive. Like,
you get one shot at this. May as well enjoy it.
I'm relatively existential, but snap your fingers, blinkers. That's it. You're done. Have a crack. That's what I keep telling myself. Like, I'm not hard on myself. I don't wake up and I'm not David Goggins. I'm actually very anti that style of growth, because a lot of it is just baked in fear. So there's so much power in the discipline aspect that I think most people need. But I've already been very disciplined in my life, so I haven't needed that. A lot of people do need that. So I probably judged a lot of that too harshly because I've been disciplined. But I think just, what happens if it ended tomorrow? Would you actually be proud of the effort? You don't need outcomes. Everyone's obsessed with outcomes. Like, I need money. I need to prove that I'm worthy.
Just have fun.
Yeah. And effort. And fun is a byproduct of removing the thing that makes it stressful in the first place, which is usually an internal conflict based on a false narrative, based on something out of fear that is not even true. 50% of our past the story that we tell is actually based in falseness, in non-truths. It's proven. So 50% of the things we recount as part of our story, not even factual, not even the truth.
Shit.
Damn, so I'm just fucking making up a lie in my head.
Yeah.
Damn.
And you believe it.
Yeah.
And I believe it.
So you have to be able to question the program.
So you didn't live on a farm?
I didn't. I lived on a station.
Lived in the city.
Fuckhead.
You lived in the city, eh? You city slicker.
I'm a big city boy, yep.
Hey. Fuck, that's a bit of a wild thing. Yeah, right.
So think about this. If 50% of your past is...
I did get beat as a kid, though. Is that fake or not? It is real.
They would have had a powerful effect on you. It's probably part of the reason you do this.
Yeah. I didn't get beat, I don't think. I can't remember.
You don't know? You don't remember?
I can't remember.
Well, memories, for example, are, we have a lot of we can have repressed memories. We dissociate because it's too painful for the mind to experience. So it gets suppressed. And a lot of people, as they're going through trauma recovery, they become conscious of these memories and they have to deal with it. There's often a block of energy that gets put into the unconscious, and a lot of somatic therapy is all about releasing that energy, which help, there's a lot of different modalities, but it's about releasing that energy block, and you'll feel lighter. But a lot of the reason there is a block is because of the mental program. So there's different frameworks. I work a lot currently on the mental framework. I'm interested to go into to learn more about the energy releasing, the unconscious. But if you change the program, you change the accumulation of energy, because a lot of things, especially as men, a lot of suppressed emotions because they have this mental program of how they have to deal with their with life basically, and they can't feel anything, so they suppress it. But you change the program, the energy stops accumulating, and there are so many ways to. I said this earlier. So many roads that lead to Rome, to lead to a greater experience of life. And like I said, who am I to say that I have the best way? We all have. There's so many powerful ways to change. There's so many coaches that are this is the way, this is the best way. It's most people who are doing the work and trying are going to make a pretty big improvement on their life. And hats off to anyone doing that.
Yep. It's the whole story or meaning behind Intersect is you can change direction. Doesn't matter which way you go. You can get out of your comfort zone. You can fucking beat your kids, do whatever you want. It's fun. I've got kids. It's fun.
3.
You want to tell everyone my fucking story?
Hey, well, you're going to bring it up any other way.
No. Fuck that. Fuck those kids. No, I'm joking. No, it is. It's the whole backstory of Intersect, and this is pretty much what this is to show people that they can change. You can go down a different path, explore a different avenue, and then if it doesn't work, come back and do something different.
I love the Intersect, Steph. Was that mathematically derived? Did you come up?
I did, yeah. It was meant to be. Well, it started off as Crossroads, but then I fucking hated the name, and then it was T Junction. Then I was like, that also sounds like fucking shit, and I was like, damn, intersection.
Yeah, that's cool.
Ooh, Intersect.
Love that.
Yeah, and then I googled to make sure it was correct.
I came up with a better name for my own podcast last night. I was watching the Inception.
Yeah.
I came up with a better name for it, but obviously I love the name of mine, but I wanted to call it Extraction. So what they do is it's all about going to people's subconscious and extracting information. And part of pretty much the podcast is a lot of it is trying to share things that come on a deeper level that are often stored in the subconscious. And it's I love to call it the extraction, and basically bring on people and you're just trying to bring out things from their subconscious. But the Extraction sounds like a sick name.
That would be a wicked name.
Sounds like an action podcast at the same time.
Yeah.
Can you do that with JP?
Do what?
What are you going to get out of this empty tin
whatever
can?
the fuck is in his head.
Well, there's
Let's go. What's in there, mate?
Not a lot.
What makes you an asshole?
Me.
Well, I feel like a lot of what I do is just trying to connect patterns into people's lives. So, if you look at your childhood and all the things that happen, coaches have different frameworks. But if I have a conversation with you and learn enough about what you went through, or your recollection of the way you were parented, raised, experiences you had, what you do now, how you feel about certain things now, what your tendencies to behave are, what I'm trying to do is connect them to show that often you went through experiences in your childhood which developed probably core beliefs about who you were, and then now there's a pattern of behavior which is trying to meet a need that you didn't probably get during your childhood. So that's the process to learn more about your story. And coaches have different frameworks for that. They'll ask them 3 questions and then they'll be able to connect them. I don't have any of those shorthand things because I'm still very early in my coaching. Mine's just let's talk through your story a bit. And I want to be able to create more systemized frameworks. That's what I'm trying to do, but I'm still very early days, and I don't want to restrict myself as well, because it's similar to what I said about the podcast is I'm still so young and learning so much about this. I don't want to confine myself too much to a process, because I'll just convince myself that it's the way. I want to be open to change and growth and different ways. But a lot of it's just connecting things that you couldn't see before. And that probably dissolves a lot of shame, because it's like you probably have behaviors in your life or made choices that you're not proud of, right? Things you look back upon like, oh.
Tell us your story.
Yeah, give us a bit more context.
Let's go.
What do you mean my story? What am I saying?
Well, just take us through, I guess, some simple things that during your childhood, way you parented, raised, just any formative experiences that you think are important to you. Then tell us a bit about your current life now.
There's one that I always said was being like the younger brother. You always have that competition to be the better than him, and that's what makes me really competitive. Because I always wanted to be number one, but you're always number two because you're the younger brother.
Yeah, that's pretty common. What about anything? I know there'd be more there. There's more than
Being
just
very conservative.
Always.
Open up.
Do you have
a safe space? This is a safe
Do
space.
what was the way your parents? What was the family dynamic like with their emotions?
These questions that I don't actually understand how to answer. I don't know what that means.
Like together, were they good? Did
Yeah.
they beat each other?
So you guys had two parents.
Yeah. And then I had mum, dad there, and then
He's being very restrictive.
Did your dad speak about his feelings at all ever to you?
God no.
Has he said? I'm assuming he's never said "I love you" directly to your face.
Maybe when I was a kid.
Kid. Okay.
Sorry, son. I love you.
Somewhere.
And what about?
I grew up, for reference, I grew up on the station in the middle of the bush for years, just out in whoop. So it was all right, let's go to work, children. Let's go build fences out in the middle of whoop and do this and do that. And yeah.
So there was no time for speaking about your emotions and
We
feelings?
were working. And that was it, yeah. That was kind of the life we lived.
Yeah. So it was the get on with it sort of attitude.
Yeah. It was always just, yeah.
And what do you think, like this podcast, for example, what's your favourite thing about it?
Hearing people's experiences and just learning about them. And it's like a quest for knowledge, learning about all the different ways to deal with this and that, and learning as much as you learn about other people and their stories and whatnot, you learn how to like dive more into your own life.
So what do you think you didn't get when you were growing up? Like on the farm, you didn't get the opportunity to express yourself in a certain way?
I don't even say I would look at it like that. When I look back at it, I thought it was the most amazing time. But yeah, it was just no real, I guess, emotional, go sitting out and talking about your feelings, but it was always like doing stuff and working or like running amok out in the rocks and stuff.
Yeah. And what's your favourite thing then, besides hearing other people's stories? Like, what has it given you emotionally since you started the podcast? What has been the felt gain? Like, how has it made you feel being able to hear other people's stories? Have you spoken much about your story? Or
I did a little bit. We did.
No, he cut half of it fucking out. So he did a solo episode. So I've done a solo episode. I got emotional. I opened up. I was down here doing something a few weeks ago, and I was like, "Oh, we don't have an episode." So JP was like, "I'll do a solo episode. I'll talk about my story." And it was a good. It was.
I thought it was good. All right.
You always say it was shit. It's like, to me, I think it was good. There's a lot that he blueballed me on. He could have opened up so much more, and I feel like he did. He just cut it out, and he didn't want people to hear it.
It's probably stored in the prison of I don't matter or something. Probably not feeling valuable enough or worthwhile enough of sharing it. There's probably somewhere a fear of not being important enough. I mean, most of us experience that, but it seems like anyone who would...
That makes sense. If you actually think about it, that's why you book so much work in, because you feel like you have to be important.
At the same time, I really like working.
Yeah. But there's also there's that sense of I need to be doing something to help other people.
Do better, always.
Yeah.
Do you feel like in a lot of your childhood it was get on with it, giving to other people? Do you feel like there was not much opportunity to connect with yourself, understand much about yourself? Was just because it was a get on with it sort of mentality?
I don't know. I'd say, yeah, it was always just kind of like look out for other people kind of thing, but I don't really know.
Were your parents pushing hard on, what was your parents' sort of philosophies around that, like giving to other people, always being kind? What was the sort of...
Yeah, be kind and whatnot and make sure you do the right thing and stuff like that. I'm going to be honest, I can't really remember the most about my childhood, but yeah.
Okay.
From what I would say, yeah.
Do you feel like that's been a common pattern? Like giving a lot to other people?
Yeah.
not learning to prioritize like yourself and
I've definitely.
Yes.
Calm down,
yes,
cat.
motherfucker. Don't try to sugarcoat it.
It's not sugarcoating.
He does, yeah.
yeah.
I don't know. I have this helping thing. Who's like, I just like to be not well known.
He has very small time for himself. Very, very small time for himself. He has to be doing something, and if he's not doing something, he's got to book more shit in to be doing.
That's because if I'm going to sit there, I'm just going to sit there on Instagram and do nothing and be a veggie.
Is there a fear of being seen? Like,
Probably. Being seen, what do you mean by that?
showing like who you are. And sometimes that can be a fear of doing that because you don't feel worthy. That fullness isn't being worthy, so you hide away parts of yourself as like a strategy to avoid the fear of people judging you.
I wouldn't say it's more of a judgment. I have this weird thing where I generally just don't like a lot of people. And I'm like, being in Perth, I'm like, there's fucking too many people here. Let's just go. I'm done. And like then knowing too many people, it's like I like to like see people say hi, but I like getting to know like really good people, like Steph, Regan, and whatnot. Like those are like real close friends that know me. But otherwise, I'm like, I don't really like when heaps of people know me and that, which is strange doing this.
Do you think that that's a truth, or do you reckon that's a coping strategy for some deeper seated thing? Because I think if you get to know any individual person amongst this whole, you probably would like them. Like if we sat down for 3 hours, got to know each other, I'm sure you'd like me. But same as if I got 50 people in a room and I got you to meet them all individually one by one, you'd probably really get to know them and like them. But if I put 50 people in a room with you and you didn't know any of them, you'd probably feel very overwhelmed.
Yeah.
So there's probably a part of your brain, your central nervous system that gets overwhelmed when there's too many people, because you want to have control of who knows you, because there's a fear of being seen, because there's probably a fear of not feeling worthy. I don't know what experiences have led to that, but I don't believe anyone is truly doesn't want to know a lot of people. I think that we're socially driven to be connected to everybody, but there's probably some experiences or wounds that you went through that made you feel scared of the confrontation of people not approving of you.
Stop looking at me, you make me laugh.
Nothing. Keep going.
But
man, this is making sense, man.
But like
my head's ticking.
But there's like I've like this is just I have no idea so many other things. Like I don't know anything about relationships, as your relationship to finances, your relationship to your habit. Like I have no idea, and I'm just putting a few little, and it could be wrong because I don't have enough information. But there's general key themes that, like everything connects. You don't like you just say like, oh, I don't like a lot of people. I disagree. It's probably not true. Like if you got to know them, a lot of people individually, you probably wouldn't dislike them. It's just like I used to think the same thing. Like, oh, I'm indifferent. I don't, I disagree. I just reckon there's experiences you went through that made your brain believe that people are scary and it's too much to deal with. So withdraw yourself as a strategy to avoid that fear.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think deep down you truly, part of the podcast is you want to be seen. You want to put yourself out there. You just
stop looking at me.
So the thing you're scared of the most is the thing you're trying to. That's why you've attracted this opportunity for the podcast, because you want to put yourself out there and be known by more people, because you want to be seen. But you ran away from it, but you actually really want it.
Oh shit! Oh shit!
That's beautiful.
That is cool.
That's beautiful. Because now you get an opportunity.
Thanking me, thank him. So how much does this cost? Bill us
bro,
later.
Send me an invite.
Invoice.
An invoice.
But that's just a little example of just trying to connect some dots for you, because things play out for a reason. Patterns keep playing out for a reason. And you convince yourself, I don't like people. Like that's the belief, the idea. A lot of the time people say those things and they're actually not true. They're based in a story which is based upon false assumptions that have been created for survival from past experience. I used to do this all the time. I had all of these, I used to think these beliefs about my life and myself, and I just dismantled them, deconstructed them. They're not true.
Yeah.
And then you get on the other side, you get to experience what you truly want. And I guarantee you the reason you've attracted this podcast and you're doing it is because you're trying to attract in what you truly want. And that's why I started a podcast, similar to you. Scared of people's opinions, of the conflict. And now through the journey, I can talk to anyone and just put my full self out there. And that's what it is. Now you're on this journey now to put your true self out there, connect with yourself, and probably meet some need that probably wouldn't have been met. That's beautiful.
I genuinely think later on in the years to come, you're not going to be the same person you are when you started.
100%. When we started, I'm already different now.
No, you're still a cunt. But
Sure.
I think...
Hey, you just don't like me being me.
No. I think, because you were very, very conservative when we first started. I think in the years to come, as we keep doing this and as we see more people and as we get more comfortable being on the camera and talking into microphones, and you see that you can open up and it doesn't really fucking matter.
Does matter. It's beautiful.
It does, but I mean, as in
the judgment side.
Yeah. No one, there's no one there. Look, there's no one there.
Thanks, Captain.
There's literally no one there. No one fucking cares, all right?
But the thing is, there's two schools of thought to that. There's you deal with the I'm scared of what people are going to think, and you sort of trying to negate that voice. I don't care what people think. You just have to realize that every judgment is a confession.
I love what people think.
Yeah, and most of the time people's negative opinions is just a projection. They're triggered by you for some reason. A lot of the time when it's a podcast, they hide a part of themselves that expresses themselves. A podcast is usually self-expression. So they're triggered by the fact that you're expressing yourself because they've shamed that part of themselves and they've gone through experiences where they've had to hide themselves. So when you express yourselves, it triggers it because it's they shouldn't be doing that. Why can't I do that? Yeah.
Well, thank you for that.
Well,
Nice.
I mean, and when I say I love what people think, I love what people think, whether it be a negative or positive thing about the podcast.
He wants haters.
When it comes, I love haters. I want haters. I want people to roast the fuck out of us.
Really?
But
why is that?
I reckon it's funny. I've always been brought up with Pop and Dad just bagging the shit out of me. Just yo, what's up? I won't say that, but just and it's it's
probably your model of love. So we go through how we're loved as a child, but there probably is a part of there where it's probably in the negative, where you feel like you have to be attacked in order to feel loved, which can probably have hidden consequences.
Oh shit! Oh my god!
Let's get into
I
your
want to get
brain.
roasted so I can get love. Well, I mean, definitely.
So when there's peace and there's nothing being said, your brain might equate that with there's something wrong.
Yeah,
and then you have to try and attract in criticism in order to feel love, because it's a pattern of love that feels familiar for you. Which there's always hidden consequences to whatever. And it's good though that you are comfortable to want to be exposed to that, because most people are scared. That was me. But there's probably an element of that where you're still very, very scared of letting go.
What the fuck?
Well,
That was a weird fucking sound.
Keep going.
That's gold. There's probably an element that you're scared to let go of what is familiar to you, which is love, because you're scared if you let go of the criticism, you're probably scared. Your brain is scared that it's going to let go of what saying is familiar, which is love, which it wants. So there's all of your experience that you've gone through have created this within you, and it's there's pros and cons. It's good that the pro is that you're willing to endure hate. But then there's probably a part of you, there's probably negative costs. If we talked about your life, there's probably, it shows up negatively in different areas of your life.
Let's dive in.
I don't think.
Your mind will
no
convince
idea,
your mind will convince you, and this is not a judgment, because it's just your mind will tell you, no, I'm strong. I don't care what people think. I love it when, but it's not black or white. There's beauty because you can hear what people say, but there's probably a negative where you can't feel love without the conditions of judgment, or there has to be something.
That's my way of seeing.
Yeah, there has to be something wrong with you all the time. There has to be something wrong. It can't just be what it is. There's probably always this condition where you haven't got it right. It probably shows up in different areas of your life. We can go into that, but
what?
Well,
Hate. Don't worry. Don't worry. Stop myself from that one. It's a good idea. Yeah, right. That's a different way to put it. I mean, I'm always someone that I love banter. I love joking around. I love just being inappropriate because I think it's funny.
Yeah.
Because it's like the thing that people find the most like scary.
That's good. Like I said, there's a beautiful part, and then there's probably the shameful part, which no one speaks about. So there's probably, like I said, there's probably hidden consequences of that belief system that's been created. And it's not about removing the fun, the joyful side of you. It's just becoming conscious of the things that you can't see in yourself because it's just so conditioned into you that this is what love looks like. You know, like it'll probably show up in things like your relationships or your work, and different patterns. When we would have to talk more about why you were parented, childhood, common behavioural patterns, similar to what we do with him. But I'm sure if we broke it down, it'll start to make sense to you.
Very interesting.
This is going to be an episode one day and it's going to get very wild. Diving into Staff's mind.
Oh, you don't want to do that. You don't want to do that. That's messy up there. Good, Matt?
Yeah, just checking.
Shall
we spin it?
Yeah, I think we're very close to...
Well, first off, we always finish with the same 5 questions to everyone. Same question to everyone.
That's cool. I love that.
5 things to improve your mood. What do you do? Just you.
Mood?
Just to improve. It can be anything, by the way.
Yeah, mood.
And you can say, I'm just saying, you can say beaten off. Like, that's not a bad thing.
Can be anything.
1, exercise. 2, social connection, friends, family. 3, putting energy into my highest values. So, like, podcast, building a business, saying I value.
Yep.
Number 4, nourishing my body. So, eating really healthy, whole foods. And number 5, probably something to do with mental reframing or like a bit of humor, like a little bit of self-deprecating humor where it's sort of just bringing in the existential elements. So if I'm in like a really negative mood, I'll use the self-awareness and the mindset tools I have to reframe what I'm thinking, because I know that thoughts can change your feelings and the way your emotions in your body. So I would use my skills that I have around that to change the way I feel. So I would improve my mood through the ability to change my thoughts.
One of the things that Jody said that I resonated with you when you said, I mean, you said it in a super fancy way. I'm not that smart to understand, but she said, if you have a negative thought, counter react that with a positive thought, or ask, show me the proof.
Like, why are you thinking that way? Show me. Yeah.
So if you were to have like a negative thought.
Yeah, I get that. I don't do that. I just don't believe that's a good long-term strategy, because you're confirming the negation. When you have to affirm something, it proves that you don't have something in the first place. So let's say a negative thought, for example, is, I'm fat. I knew I'd get you.
You motherfucker.
When you say
word fat, it's so funny.
So when you say I'm fat, that's the negative thought. So then what you'll flip that, I'm not fat. So basically you're confirming that there is a conflict inside. You're basically trying to affirm the negation. And basically it just continues this cycle. For me, it's uncovering the subconscious block, which pushes the thought into existence in the first place. But all you're doing is confirming this addiction and familiarity for the brain. Now, the work I do is to try and remove the mental program that creates the thoughts and feelings that continue the cycle and the pattern. But I think it's a short game. It's a short-term strategy. It can be effective if you're just trying to get through. Yeah. And you need to strong arm yourself for whatever situation. But I don't think it's a thing at night or when you want to do the real inner work. You don't sit in front of the mirror and you just confirm, you flip all your negative thoughts.
Yeah.
It won't work.
I'm fat. Show me the proof. What the fuck?
Sorry.
Well, you say find me the evidence, but I see it with my girlfriend all the time. She's a 10 out of 10 looks-wise, but she'll find the tiniest little flaw in herself. And it's the same with people who have eating disorders. What are you going to tell them? Find me the evidence. The brain can find anything that it's looking for. The tiniest little micro detail it doesn't like. So it's you're working against the program of the brain and the filter that we operate through. it's not going to work. Good luck. I've tried it. It doesn't work. But there is a time and place for it as a short-term strategy.
Yeah.
You know, you need to get out of a tough situation. The emotions are high. You just need to get out of it.
I think she did say it was like a short-term thing. I don't think she said it was a long-term.
Potentially.
It's a podcast, man. Should talk. Yeah, cool. Well, I think that's going to wrap up that episode. That mind-blowing.
Thank you for coming on.
Mind-blowing.
It's been a journey and a half.
It has been. I'm glad that we got to dive into whatever the fuck is up there. Because shit. Yeah, no. Do you want to plug your podcast and your stuff? If you guys want or have a listen, I'm fucking this up. Can you go? My brain's not.
Yeah. So
Shit.
thank you first off for coming on. We've much appreciated this whole endeavour. If you want to shout out, where can these lovely people find you and talk to you?
Yeah, so you can find me on Instagram. My podcast is Timeless Mindset Pod. My personal is just Egan Brooks. And if you go on there, you can find access to my coaching links. You can book in a call with me or whatever. Send me a message and we can arrange something. I'd love to guide anyone through this journey. I've worked with many coaches, and it's a beautiful thing to experience life in a different way. And that's what that's my main mission, is to give that to people. That's why I've invested so much time, energy, money into learning these things. So, it'd be an honour to work with anyone through that.
Yep, sweet. Thank you. And if anyone wants to send in stories or anything that, get in touch with us, send them on through to
intersect.pod24@hotmail.com.
Beautiful work.
And also go over to YouTube, Spotify on Timeless Mindset.
Yeah.
YouTube?
Sometimes.
Sometimes. And yeah, go follow Timeless Mindset, but also jump over to all the socials. You guys heard it all fucking before. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that type of shit. So thank you guys for watching, listening, and doing all the amazing things that you guys are doing.
Thanks for having me, lads.
Cheers, mate.
Cheers. Peace.